Song of the Solitaire by Macavity 116. Prelude. Just as it had done for millions of years before, and as it would for millions more, the moon of Edelton passed into the shadow of the planet Corval 4. The moon was plunged into a deep darkness that would last for 2 of its own days. On the surface of the moon, a pattern of lights revealed the location of a colony. This was the city of Edelton, the settlement from which the moon takes its name. The people living in this city always light up their homes during these extra long periods of nighttime, but today was an exception. As soon as darkness fell, an observer could see the truly massive scale of the celebrations now enveloping the city. Fireworks lit up the outer limits of the town. Skyscrapers illuminated every floor until they appeared to be columns of white light. The noise of music and cheering rose from the city streets. People flooded into and out of the service district, dancing and eating and drinking with total abandon. Outside the city, atop a nearby hill, a woman was watching the fireworks, but she did not feel the same elation as her neighbors. She was apprehensive, nervous. Her name was Trig Shepminter. This hilltop was occupied by the ruins of a temple, abandoned and left to rot over the last 5 years. Climbing atop the roof for a better view of the sky was easy. She had done it plenty of times before. It was her favorite stargazing spot. Pentwa had already tied her hopelessly curly hair into a bun, anticipating another climb tonight. She was just waiting for one more person to arrive before starting. A man appeared on the hillside, walking with a limp and using a cane. His name is Trig Shepminter. In most cultures, he would be called Pentwa's husband, and Pentwa would be known as Ellie's wife. However, in their own culture, Pentwa and Ellie referred to one another as their Athira. Pentwa greeted Ellie enthusiastically. "Where have you been?" Pentwa asked. "I thought you would get here before me." "So did I," Ellie replied. "But I got caught up in the celebrations. There probably won't be a party like this again for 100 years. I just had to get a drink at the Tadburn. What about you? Did you come straight here?" Pentwa nodded. "I've already set up the telescope," she said. "I heard rumors about what happened, but I'm not going to believe it until I see for myself." Ellie loosened his grip on his cane and gave his wife a smile. "You've been frightened of him your whole life," Ellie said, "and the way I see it, you have every right to be. Let's check the telescope. I hope we can see everything." Pentwa, grateful for her husband's understanding, started the climb. She moved through the ruined temple skillfully, pausing to turn around and help Ellie along the way. After a few minutes, they reached the rooftop and found an unobstructed view of the night sky. Perched on a balcony was a powerful digital telescope. The device was stamped with the words Minamar Specialized Industries and contained a very simple FTL transponder. This telescope was not meant for looking at stars or nebula. Its purpose was to track starships from the ground in real time. Pentwa grabbed the telescope and started scanning the sky. She said, "You probably heard the whole story while you were in town." "I did," Ellie replied, "though it took a while to sort fact from rumors." "Well," Pentwa asked, "what did you learn? I heard a rumor that the Great Khan showed up at the Sutherian refugee camp." "He did," Ellie confirmed. Pentwa aimed her telescope at a distant star cluster, territory that belonged to the Olenbar people and their megacorporation, Minamar Specialized Industries. "The Great Khan attacked the Sutherian refugee camp on the Lightwater moon," Ellie explained. "MSI warships responded, but by the time they reached the scene, the battle was over and the horde was starting to scatter. That's the story going around." Pentwa zoomed the telescope into Olenbar space. I detect a few of the Khan's ships, Pentua said. Then she let out a gasp of joy. They're scattering! They're really on the run! But where's... Pentua trailed off. She was trying to find the Great Khan's flagship, a galleon named Kaldorix. It took her a moment, but she did find it. Lightwater Moon is too far away from Eddleton to see via telescope, but the built-in FTL transponder revealed the location of Kaldorix, very close to where Lightwater was supposed to be. Local security ships were swarming the vessel. Pentua took a step back from the telescope, falling into her husband's arms. It's still there, Pentua breathed. It's really still there, and there's MSI ships all over it. Pentua looked up at Ellie. She dared to hope. Is he really? She breathed. Ellie nodded. The Great Khan is dead, he said. He's gone. Finally, Pentua believed it. She let out a whoop and hugged Ellie so tightly he gasped for air. Then she stood on the tips of her toes and planted a kiss on Ellie's face, his beard tickling her nose. Oh, I'm so happy, Pentua declared. I think we should go back into the city and join that big party. Could not agree more, Ellie said. The pair turned to leave. As Pentua packed up the telescope, Ellie withdrew his smartphone from his pocket and activated flashlight mode. A noise caught his attention. Pentua, did you drop something? He asked. No, she replied. There it was again. A noise coming from somewhere inside the temple ruins. It almost sounded like... Hello? Ellie called into the darkness. Who's out there? Pentua froze. She was straining her ears to listen. After a moment, both she and Ellie heard something. A woman's voice cried out from the darkness, speaking in the Nagyari language. Then the voice repeated itself, this time speaking Oldenbar. Help me, a soft voice cried out from below. I'm trapped! I can't get out! Ellie and Pentua scrambled to reach the temple floor. They left the telescope behind. A woman's voice was calling for help from somewhere beneath the floor. Ellie looked around and spotted a staircase leading to a lower level. Down below, in a position roughly beneath the main shrine, Ellie and Pentua found their path blocked. The ceiling had caved in. Through a mess of twisted metal and broken wood, Pentua spotted a form in the darkness. Trapped on the other side was a woman. Just like Pentua and Ellie, she was Sutharian, albeit from a different ethnic group. She had messy brown hair and wore extravagant clothing, as though she had just come from a high society dinner party. A crystal pendant hung from her necklace. The strange woman clutched a baby boy in both hands. He was calm, looking around at the newcomers. Ellie leapt into action, pulling at the wreckage to clear a path. Pentua was confused. But I've been in here hundreds of times, she breathed. This passage is the only way in or out of the basement, and it's been blocked for almost 2 whole years. How the hell did you get in there? The strange woman was standing at the end of a narrow corridor. It continued for just a few meters before coming to an end. At the point where the passage ended, there was a stone archway. Ellie could see about a meter of open space on the other side of the arch before a stone wall signaled the end of the chamber. I don't know, the distressed woman replied. I don't even know where I am. I'm just trying to get off the ship. That caught Ellie's attention. As he dragged a bit of scrap metal away from the blockage, he said, Lady, where do you think you are right now? The woman hesitated for a moment. The implications of that question had already hit her. Finally, she said, Kaldorix! We got jumped! We've got to get out of here before they start shooting again! Ellie's eyes went wide. He raised both of his hands to implore the woman to calm down. Listen to me, he said in a slow voice. You are on the Edelton Moon in the Sutharian Republic. The Caldorix is about 1,500 light years from here. You're safe. Pentua was filling with questions to ask, but she would have to wait for another time. The strange woman heard Ellie's words and broke down completely. She fell to her knees, weeping uncontrollably. Moments later, the blockage was cleared. Pentua allowed the strange woman to lean on her shoulder while Ellie took the little boy in his arms. The baby could not have been older than 5 months. The child let out a weak cry before grasping Ellie's arm with both hands. Pentua and her husband led the 2 strangers out of the ruined temple, moving downhill toward the light and warmth of Edelton.